Hello, Lisa here. Welcome to Walking the Self-Worth Path, a series where I share with you my favorite tarot and witchy tools, techniques, and rituals to support your journey to an empowered life. Today we're going to be talking about my favorite crystals and my favorite tarot or oracle deck spreads to help you with the work of integration. Now, I definitely encourage you to check out the other videos in the Walking the Self-Worth Path playlist to learn more about my take on integration. But for today's video, I really want to jump in because I have a lot to say about the crystals that I've decided to select for this category, the things that I think would be great go-tos if you're doing this particular kind of work. So when we reach this stage of integration, a lot of what we're doing at this point in our journey is really trying to solidify all the things that we've learned, all the new practices that we've implemented, and get to a place where we can really walk in the bright light of our authentic selves and to look the world in the face, right? So there's a lot of courage at this stage that I think we really need to tap into. Courage not only just to face the world at large, but also just to be able to be ourselves. That can be a huge, huge leap from the work that we've done, where we're really learning about ourselves and kind of forming our identity and understanding what that looks like and facing all the tough stuff to get to this point. But then we're at the point in the journey now where we're really taking all this stuff we've worked inward and we're trying to now project that work outward. We're trying to step into it in a true way so that the way that we interact with others reflects our newly found or newly rediscovered or strengthened sense of self-worth and our ability to truly be ourselves. So the kinds of crystals that I like to work with when I reach this stage are the kinds of things that are going to help me do that kind of work. So the first one I want to talk about is Carnelian. Now, if you've ever had a client reading from me, you probably have seen this one. I've had this carnelian for a couple of years now, I think. It is a vibrated carnelian. It's a raw piece. I love how it's got this like natural white all the way around the back. And then you've got this like piece here that's like the bright, fiery orange red. Carnelian is very much a stone I associate with the element of fire, and everything that I associate with the element of fire, I associate with the stone. So when I think of will and drive and courage, when I think of being able to really fearlessly be in a place of authenticity, to be in a place where I can honor the truth of who I am in a kind of in a fierce way, in a way, Carnelian is one of my go-tos. So I have a couple pieces to show. Like I said, this is my vibrated piece. And I bring this out a lot in client readings, and particularly client readings that have to do with self-worth, learning how to prioritize oneself. And a lot of times this also comes out in readings that have to do with passion, whether that is romantic passion or passion projects, things like that. So very much a fiery stone for me. And I found it to be a really good booster when you need that oomph, when you need that fire, particularly if you're not sure if you have it kind of on your own. Another piece of carnelian I have here, this is a tumbled piece. And I just think this is gorgeous. I like having stones that are about the size to fit in my palm or tuck into a pocket when I need that little boost. And if we take all the metaphysical potential properties of crystals and stones off the table, metaphorically speaking, for just a moment, and just talk about the fact that if this stone, much like when we created our habit transformer, if having this stone in your pocket or in your purse or in your backpack or near you in some way on your desk, if this stone is simply just a symbol of a reminder to tap into your inner fire, then mission accomplished, right? It doesn't have to be something that you can feel or sense or energetically pick up on. It doesn't have to be woo. It can just be, hey, carnelian is a stone associated with fire, and when you want to embrace your inner fire, this is a great stone to do it. I also think carnelian's a stone that's fairly easy to find most of the time. Any place that has tumbled stones, often you can find a piece of carnelian. It's one of the more common, and I try to focus on more common crystals as much as possible in this series because we don't all have access or funds for crazy crystal varieties or anything like that, and I really want to keep it accessible. And when I began my witchy practice, I really only worked with a very select few crystals, and I will admit actually carnelian wasn't even one of them. The next one was, so I'll talk more about that one, but this is just a really, really great stone to help you tap into your authentic inner confidence, the part of you that knows how to look the world in the face, the part of you that is ready to walk your talk. That's what I think carnelian's really, really great for. So I'm going to set our carnelian over here to the side. So the next crystal that I want to talk about, I feel like you could probably work with this or carnelian or both, but I'll tell you how I see, this is tiger's eye, and I'll tell you how I see tiger's eye a little differently. Now this is another one that's usually pretty easy to identify and to find because it does have this sort of iridescent cat's eye kind of look to it, which I'm assuming is why it's called tiger's eye, but it definitely makes you think of tigers. It makes you think of wildcat energy. And when you think of wildcat energy, like what does that make you think of, right? To me, it's like a really great stone for helping you to hold boundaries, for summoning inner strength and courage and determination and will and drive. I love this little piece. I can't remember where I got it. I think this was gifted to me recently because it's kind of shaped almost like an eye that you would have on like a teddy bear or a doll or something. But it still has that great iridescence to it. Tiger's eye is, the best way I know how to put it is, for me and how I've worked with it, is that tiger's eye is kind of like your crystal permission slip. This is the crystal that can help you to face your fears, make your own rules, and embrace your inner wild. But more than that, I feel like it's that permission to say no. It's that permission to hold your boundaries. It's that reminder that you have every right to defend your territory. Those things that I think those of us who have grown up or been socialized to be kind of doormats and to feel like we needed to prioritize everybody else, sometimes this stone is really great for remembering that it's okay to prioritize you, and in fact, it's necessary for you to live the healthiest life that you can live in this lifetime. And so tiger's eye is, again, kind of a permission slip stone. And I feel like this brings some of that inner wild, and that if you think of like how a wildcat or a bear might defend their young, imagine if you could be that for yourself. If you could defend and protect yourself and your inner child and the parts of you that are vulnerable and worthy, which is all of you, by the way, but the parts of you that are worthy, if you could identify and protect, I mean, I'm stumbling over my words because I really want to get this right. But if you imagine you could embrace that wildcat or that mama bear kind of energy, that's what this does. This gives you permission to step into that archetype for yourself, to actually bring that much ferocity, strength, courage, determination, will to the table for your own sake. And I think that really tiger's eye is great for tapping into that kind of energy. This is also, like I said, a fairly easy stone to usually find. And even in like, you know, those big bins of tumbled stones, you can often find a little tiger's eye. So tiger's eye is a really great one to work with. And lastly, when we're talking about the work of integration, to me, one of the biggest pieces of that work is inner child work. And my favorite stone or crystal to do inner child work, to really recognize the vulnerable inner part of me, is lepidolite. I have a whole little pile of lepidolite. It is a favorite crystal for me to work with. I have this cute little egg-shaped piece that's polished, and I have a couple tumbles of different sizes that I've picked up. When you find a raw piece of lepidolite, it feels really like it's got this like shine and sheen to it. You see that? Really interesting. This is my only raw piece, but it is got that kind of almost calcite, flaky sort of feel. And my favorite one is, of course, this lepidolite heart. This was sent to me as a gift, and I love it so much. Again, I really love lepidolite stones that can fit in the palm of my hand, can tuck into a pocket. The fact that it's heart-shaped, I think, really just adds to its charm. And lepidolite, let me get to the whole point here. Lepidolite is definitely a stone that I find helps to tap into that sort of nurturing energy, the playfulness, and that inner child. And that is definitely what I go to lepidolite for. It is probably the only thing I really go to lepidolite for. Now, lepidolite, I would say, is a fairly easy to find stone. Of the three I've shared with you, I think tiger's eye is the easiest. Carnelian is like kind of tied or close second with tiger's eye, and lepidolite would be third, but it's still relatively common, so it shouldn't be too hard to track it down. Now, with all this talk about all these specific crystals, I just want to make a little note here. It doesn't have to be these. And I think this is important to remember. It doesn't even have to be crystals. It could be a stone you find on the beach that reminds you of a happy childhood memory where you felt like you were safe and nurtured and held. Or it could remind you of something you did as an adult that gave you that feeling. Any of these stones could be any other object that gives you that feeling of tapping into your inner fire, or giving yourself permission to hold your own boundaries, or nurturing your inner child. It doesn't have to be these specific things, or even, like I said, a crystal. It could be anything. It could be a photo you tuck into your pocket, or a card you print off with a really inspiring quote that reminds you of the work that you're trying to do in the world. And I think that's the thing that matters. But with that said, I do enjoy working with crystals. I enjoy working with crystal energy. And I find the properties of these stones to be compatible with the work that I do with them. But I just want to make sure you don't feel limited to like, this is a prescription and you must now go get these specific stones. But these are ones that I personally really, really enjoy. So I'm going to scooch those off to the side here. So let's talk spreads. Now I'm going to be sharing with you 3 different spreads that you can use to tap into the work of integration to really continue to nurture and support yourself on this path and to continue to grow and develop and get stronger in your sense of worthiness, in your sense of fearlessness as you face the world, as you take up more space. Now I'm going to be using the Tarot of the She, which is one of the decks that I mentioned I really like for integration work. And my copy is trimmed and it's glossy, so we may have a little bit of glare to deal with. I really like the Tarot of the She, particularly for tapping into that inner wild, for recognizing worth, for recognizing your right to take up space in the world and to be unashamedly exactly who you are, to step into authenticity, to shred the masks that surround you. Like, I just really love this deck for that. So let's get into the actual spreads. The first spread that we're going to be looking at is about masks. Now, I want to focus on masks a little bit in my self-worth path videos here as we close out the work we've been doing for the past, oh my gosh, almost a full year now on this video series. But I want to focus on masks because masks are an easy thing that we slip back into in order to be accepted or to be deemed worthy. So this particular spread is to help you identify the mask that you might be wearing, why you're wearing it, and how to remove it. And those are essentially our 3 spread positions. So let's take a look at that in a sample reading and just kind of see how you might do this particular spread. So there's 3 positions: the mask you wear, why you wear it, and how to remove it. All right, so let's do a quick sample read. A mask I wear. Warrior 5, action frustrated is what it says on the card. Now, I really actually enjoy keyword or decks with phrases on them when I'm doing this kind of work, but not always. This is one that I think is really great. It's that idea of being blocked. Like, this is essentially the 5 of Wands, the Warrior 5, and it's that idea of feeling like you're constantly competing or you're having to like fight to make any progress. That is a mask that you wear, the mask of the fighter, the mask of the person who has to be trying super hard all the time to make a point. That's the mask I would identify with this particular card pull. And let's zoom us in a bit so we can see the artwork a bit better. And so the next prompt would be, why am I wearing that mask? So why do I have the mask of the warrior, of the fighter on right now? The moon. Oh, well, the moon is often about illusion, about not seeing truth, but rather seeing maybe what we've been conditioned to see or what we've been told to see or what we think we're supposed to see. And so that tells me that it's as if I feel like, this mask could be telling me that it's as if I feel like the only way to be taken seriously is if I'm constantly like being really assertive and aggressive all the time. Like, that's the only way to defend my boundaries. That's the only way to live in authenticity. And so I maybe have swung the pendulum a little too far from the place of authenticity to a place where I'm just working a little too hard at it. Does that make sense? So that's kind of how I might interpret what mask I'm wearing and why I'm wearing it. And the last position is how to remove it. Oh, okay. So this is Dreamer 7. A coward betrays. That's what the card says. Now, the Dreamer suit is the suit of swords in this deck. And so there's this idea of revealing truth and the authenticity that is required to reveal truth. I think that when you think about a fighter mask and you think about the idea of a coward being revealed or betraying somebody else or whatever in some way, what intuitively comes to me from this particular spread is the idea that we're wearing the fighting mask because we feel like that's how we need to be perceived in order to really hold our ground, hold our boundary, be in our authenticity. But in reality, we need to not be afraid to be seen as afraid, right? We need to be ready to admit that, yeah, we're struggling too. And maybe in the fact that we're struggling, we take off our warrior's mask and we can be taken exactly as we are and in a way more seriously and more authentically. And that's kind of what I get from this particular spread. So just as a quick fire, let's try one more quick little sample just so you can get a feel for another kind of combination of cards. So a mask I wear. Effort sustained, Maker 7. That's the 7 of Pentacles. That's a mask of like, oh, I'm patient. I'm willing to see how it all turns out. I know I've done all this work, but it's okay. There's an accommodation energy I'm feeling from this. Now I'm projecting my own masky stuff on here, and I get that, but that's what I would pull from this based on how I view my own masks and the ones that I tend to reach for. Okay, why am I wearing this mask of accommodation, of being like, oh no, it's okay. I can be patient. I don't have to worry about it. It's fine. Oh, the death card. There's something I'm afraid to let go of. And here it could be control, right? I'm saying, oh, I'm willing to sustain this effort all by myself. I've got this. I can be patient. It's fine. I don't need anything. Because really, I'm afraid to let go of control. There's a fear there of letting go. And so how can I remove this mask of like, it's fine? You know, that's kind of what I'm getting from that. Dancer King. This is the King of Swords, Gift of Wisdom. Oh no, Dancer King is Cups. Water suit. Hello, he's in water. Gift of Wisdom. So wisdom says it's okay to maybe be a little impatient. It's okay to say, I really want to get some more results now, or I want to get something done now, and I need some help. So this is like a reminder that it's okay. It's okay to soften a little bit and to lean into those who maybe have wisdom to share or who have skills to share. So I think that's really, really good. The next, let me zoom this out here. The next spread I want to share with you is the spread all about avoidance, because I feel like when we hit this stage of integration, it's not a matter of whether or not we want to continue to do the work. It's the matter of whether we procrastinate and avoid doing the work, because it's frankly easier to not do it. It's easier to settle back into a rut. It's easier to settle back into old patterns. It's easier to backslide, quite frankly. So this particular spread asks you to ask yourself what you're avoiding, why you're avoiding it, and how you can face it. Again, these are definitely challenging spreads. They're meant to be challenging. They're meant to keep you on your toes. They're meant to hold you accountable, because accountability is a core value by this point in our journey, right? All right, let's look at a sample spread. Okay, what am I avoiding? The Lovers. Look at that. I'm going to zoom us in. Now, the Lovers is often about choice. There's a decision, there's a commitment perhaps at play that we're avoiding looking at, because we know that once we make that commitment, that's it. We're in it, right? Kind of like getting married. Once you make that commitment, you know you're in it. I would venture to say that at this stage in the journey, a card like this drawn in the what am I avoiding question could literally be, I'm avoiding committing to the path of self-worth because I know it's going to demand a lot of me. And I know it's going to potentially change the scope of my life and who's in my life. That's a big ask. It's a lot. So the question then is why I'm avoiding it. I think I kind of answered that for myself, but oh, here we go. We have the Warrior Princess with the Gift of Courage. So I'm afraid, right? There's a fear of making this choice, of making this commitment. It's like I'm not quite ready. Or let me back up. I don't feel ready. I don't feel like I have this gift of courage. This is basically what's holding me back, is this feeling like, oh, I have to be her to move forward. The funny thing is, you don't have to be all that brave to make a commitment. You just have to know that it's important to you. The bravery, that comes and goes. Sometimes it feels terrifying to do the right thing for yourself, and sometimes it feels easy. But 90% of the time, easily, I would say, it feels challenging. It feels hard. It feels scary. And you worry about things like, will I be alone? If I don't let these people stay in my life, maybe, or these situations exist that have always existed, what happens to me next? Will I be alone? There's all kinds of fears that come along with this, but I think it's important work to do. So why I'm avoiding it? Fear. Okay. So how do I face it? Oh, Dancer 6. Born of Joy. That's the Six of Cups, which is very much, I think, about tapping into that inner child energy, which is not what I would have expected in a reading like this, but it kind of makes sense. If you assume that everything is play, if you assume that this is how you keep yourself safe, but you do it in a way that makes you feel nurtured and held, and you go into it joyfully, there's only good you can find at the other end of that. Yeah, there'll be challenges, but the end result will still be good. So for me, rather than focusing on, oh, I need to feel super brave and super strong, instead maybe what I need to focus on is loosening up a little bit, being a little lighter in my approach. Okay, let's try one more sample spread a little bit quicker and see what comes through for, oops, this deck loves to give me jumpers, but I don't want to do that at this particular moment. So spread to what I'm avoiding, why I'm avoiding it, how to face it. So we'll do it a little quicker and snappier this time. What I'm avoiding, Web of Mirrors. Oh, looking within. Look at that. We don't even care with the tarot association. Sometimes you just take it at face value. Why? Again, the moon. I feel like this comes up as a why for me a lot. That's not unusual because often there's illusion there. There's not seeing things clearly. We need perspective. So how do I face it? How do I face the mirrors? The Hanged Man. Be willing to make some sacrifices. Be willing to change your perspective to maybe be a little less comfortable for a little while and then see what comes up. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. I hope it gives you an idea of how a spread like that can work. Let's finally look at the third spread. So this is more about identifying what you want and how to get there, right? So this, oh my gosh, it really likes to give me jumpers. So this spread, the positions are something I want more of, or you just want. It doesn't have to be more of, but let's say something I want more of, what is stopping me, and how to break through. Something I want more of, what is stopping me, and how to break through. All right. I forgot to zoom us out, but that's okay. All right. Something I want more of. Responsibility. Yeah, right. Okay, no, but actually it kind of makes sense. What I want more of, responsibility. The second spread position is what is stopping me. The Hierophant. Feeling like there's rules, like there's red tape I have to get through. I want more responsibility. I want to do more, but I'm afraid to step into that role of the teacher, to actually be the elder. Instead, I tend to follow the leader, right? So that's what's stopping me. I'm not trusting my own inner wisdom, my own inner knowledge. And then finally, the last position is how to break through. Winter's Bite, Maker 5. Now, this is the 5 of Pentacles, and for me, this card is all about recognizing that you're not alone, recognizing that you have support, even in the form of spiritual support, but there is support there for me. So recognize I don't have to do it all alone, but I do need to recognize at a certain point that if I want more responsibility, if I want to be able to share in some way, then I need to be willing to be the Hierophant, the elder in this case. Okay, let's do another quick one. I'll just quickly cut the deck and we'll grab another 3 cards. All right, what I want more of, soulmates. Oh, this is beautiful. This is the 2 of Cups. This is like connection with other human beings, feeling really connected and feeling like I can trust that connection. What's stopping me? Oh my gosh, the Lovers. That's an interesting duality that I see there. The idea of commitment, because of course, there's an amount of trust needed to have this, right? There's an amount of commitment needed to go through the tough stuff, not just the easy stuff, to have that. And finally, how to break through? Will, drive, the ability to put what I want first, the Chariot. So that is how that spread can work. So these are going to be in the description box down below. I think if not, just feel free to jot them down or rewatch this video to get a feel for all of the spreads. But essentially, these are some great go-tos for continuing the work. They're kind of general on purpose because by the time you reach these stages, you want some maintenance spreads. You want spreads that you can continue to use again and again to hold yourself accountable, to do the necessary work, but to also propel yourself forward, to give you the motivation to hopefully move ahead. And that is what we're trying to accomplish with this one. It's just a few spreads and a few crystals to continue to support the work that you already know how to do. If you are with me here in the integration stage, if you've been working with the self-worth path, or even just following along on the work that we've been doing, you have the tools. You just need to commit to using them and leaning into them. And that is the point of this stage of the self-worth path. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this was helpful in some way. I would love to hear from you down below. Are there other spreads that occurred to you as you were doing this? Would you tweak these spreads in some way to make them work for you in a better way? What decks do you think you'll use with these spreads? And do you think these would be helpful to you on your path? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, please do remember to click the like button if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you're new here, and don't forget to click that little notification bell so that you can be in the loop on all my future videos and live streams. Thank you again so much, and may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye, guys.